Hi, I'm Barbara Wilkes, founder of W Architecture and Landscape Architecture, leader of the design team. On behalf of the team, I am happy to share with you the design we have all been working together on for the last 9 months. The River Learning Center is one of 3 projects from the Great River Passage Conservancy Master Plan to make St. Paul, which has more miles on the Mississippi than any other city, the river capital. This plan was formed through a process integrating community input, the needs of the project partners, the site conditions, and the Dakota perspective on this important landscape. To see this information, please visit the Great River Passage website, Community Meeting 3.
Minnesota, the Mississippi River, and the regional landscape are Dakota homelands that were forcibly taken and damaged for commercial and recreational purposes. This is not a park, but a shared community and sacred place that needs care, protection, and respect. These are Dakota homelands. The River Learning Center will provide an opportunity to restore lost connections to a site that is part of a larger system of important natural and Dakota cultural areas. Any discussion about building on this site must be framed with that recognition and tell the authentic history of the Dakota cultural landscape. Where rivers come together is a place of power for Dakota people. The future site of the River Learning Center is located within the sacred area known as Bedote, where the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers meet. Dakota people have and still do live and travel in these interconnected waterways, and the area remains an important gathering and sacred ceremonial site. The River Learning Center is part of a larger region of highly important traditional and contemporary Dakota cultural sites. This project will create opportunities that enhance the overall identity of the region and support coordinated cultural revival efforts of other Indigenous institutions. Thoughtful placemaking strategies and culturally respectful building design that reflect Dakota values will honor the many Dakota voices that have provided insight into the planning of the River Learning Center.
The vision for the Mississippi River Learning Center, developed over this year with the community, is to take this current hidden gem and make it a more welcoming and inclusive and accessible campus where touching the water and connecting to nature are some of the key activities. The Learning Center is a gateway to the Mississippi, a connected, accessible campus for exploring the river, its cultures and ecologies. It's situated in the center of Hidden Falls Crosby Farm Regional Park to create a new heart for activities. Components of the River Learning Center campus include the National Park Service headquarters and Sam Morgan Trailhead on the bluff, and an accessible new experience, the Canopy Walk, which descends to the floodplain below. The River Learning Center is at the heart of the park. The marina structures have been relocated to the east to open the entry at the base of Crosby Farm Road. The boathouse is on the western inlet, which is reserved for human-powered craft. The new channel creates an island that refers back to the history of the area and the dynamic river landscape and ecology.
The design of this community amenity is hyper-specific to its location in the city. It sits at the edge of the Highland Park neighborhood just south of Shepherd Road, and it connects the bluff to the floodplain park below. One of our first challenges here was to create a safer connection to the site, which we accomplished by improving the connection at Gannon Road, and then also adding a new crosswalk just east of there. Atop the bluff, we have the Sam Morgan Trailhead building, which has information about the site, the history, and the ecology. It creates an accessible route from the bluff to the floodplain. It also features the National Park Service offices above it. More specifically, this connection includes a canopy walk, which is an accessible pedestrian route to, again, connect the trailhead building on the bluff to the Learning Center itself on the floodplain. This canopy walk is an ADA accessible means of traveling through the tree canopy itself and downward through the ecology and landscape to connect with the Learning Center on the floodplain. Here's a view of the canopy walk reaching the rooftop of the Learning Center, an active rooftop with learning spaces and areas to view the Bidote beyond. Accessible paths that blend in the landscape for everyone, with views of both areas for recreation and learning along the floodplain. At the bottom of the canopy walk, we have the floodplain. The goal is to be light on the land, create a welcoming learning facility with indoor and outdoor spaces for learning, as well as accessible restrooms. You can see at the base of the canopy walk, you arrive into the outdoor education garden. And from there is a school bus drop off and school trip entrance. There is handicap accessible parking and then visitor parking adjacent to it. There's also an entry access point to the farm to Falls Trail, which connects Hidden Falls Park with Crosby Farm Park. Here's another view of outdoor gathering and education taking place with the school bus drop off beyond. Beyond that, views into the caves. And then the visitor parking beyond that. And then stormwater management, gardens all around. This is a view of the front main entry of the facility. Visibility and safety and more accessibility were the key components of this. Again, it's visible, it's open, it's accessible, and it has views of the water and the landscape beyond.
Touching the water was important to 70% of the people that took the survey. This makes this dynamic riverscape of key importance to this project. So we're working to provide public access to the waterfront, removing unnatural steep slopes and improving the forest ecology. Touching the water has two parts: the marina, the channel, and the human-powered craft that will happen there. First, looking at the marina, you can see that the buildings have been relocated to open up the views from the water to the bluff. There's a new public marina promenade that opens this whole side of the waterfront to the public for the first time. There's a river overlook at the very end, which also will now be public. The channel is a new feature that's formed by cutting across the existing peninsula, creating the canoe cove for the human-powered craft with its boathouse and boathouse deck for classrooms, and the island itself. The island will be self-sustaining, and we're doing hydrology studies with our team to make sure that it will all be there and be sustainable. This will highlight the channel here. You see, will highlight the changing water levels. Here you see it in the winter when the water level will be quite low, and the 2-foot channel will undoubtedly freeze for most of the winter period to allow for access. People can also ski and hike. Here you see one of the first warm spring days, and the water's very high. This is one of the higher spring floods that you've had recently. You can see it comes up just to the edge of the walkway. People can paddle in this channel and look out. The water will be quite calm back here. People again just enjoying this beautiful day, spring sunshine, the spring ephemerals blooming, people and learning about them and smelling them, using all the senses to explore nature. This is a summer view. The water's gone down to its more normal level. It's safe to access it here out of the main flow of the river. People can bring their canoes in at this point and get steady before they head out to the river. You see people also exploring the river ecology with their nets. The boathouse is in the distance. There's a deck where people can get together, gather and learn, or just be in the shade. The canopy walk is above in the trees. The River Learning Center is to the far right, and you can see how the landscape terraces down to this channel where we're standing on the island on the other side. Connecting to nature was the most important of all. 90% of those surveyed wanted to be able to simply walk in nature. So we've concentrated development in the disturbed areas of the site and are working to restore the habitat to connect the two sides of the Hidden Falls and Crosby Farm so that we have nature all the way along the 5 miles of the regional park. So thank you for listening today about the Mississippi River Learning Center. We're looking forward to the next phases of this project as it continues to be brought to life. We look for your continued input and thank you for your input thus far.